I completely forgot that I had this. Hi, I'm Dani from Practical Mommy Loves Luxury. This is my series of videos for new or expecting parents. Today's video is going to be on mummy and baby essential products that I did not find useful. When you watch this video, please bear in mind that every family is different. Every mother is different, every baby is different, and within a single family, the first baby can vary from the second baby as well. And if you're a first-time mum, it can be really difficult to anticipate what yourself and your new little one is going to need. And in all honesty, I think sometimes you have to experience the product before you actually know whether it's going to help you or not. I thought I would share my thoughts on some of the products that I didn't find useful, and hopefully that will give you an extra perspective if you're considering buying one of these products. In any case, I'm really not the first mother who's doing a video like this. After you watch this video, I would encourage that you go ahead and check out videos that have been made by other mothers as well. I'll also share what other products that I found more useful instead. And without further ado, let's get started. I'll start with baby products first. The first thing is too many muslin cloths. And I'm not saying that muslin cloths are not useful, but have a reasonable amount. Don't have too many. Muslin cloths can be very useful as a burp cloth, and they're also great to use as a cover over the baby's pram or capsule when you take them out and you're trying to get them to sleep. They also can be used as towels because they're really absorbent, and of course muslin cloths are also very useful as reusable nappies. Muslin cloths can also be used as swaddles. Now, out of all the functions that I've mentioned of muslin cloths, the only thing I used muslin cloths for when my baby was a newborn was to cover her pram. I did try to use it as a swaddle as well. However, it didn't really work because she was a wriggly baby, and every time I swaddled her, she would escape from the swaddle really easily, and that meant that her arms were free. And when she was a newborn, her startle response was very brisk. And once her arms escaped from her swaddle, her startle response constantly woke her up. There is a technique to swaddle by tucking the baby's arms underneath. I did do that with my daughter. However, because she was so wriggly, she was able to loosen the swaddle anyway. But then her arms then came up above her head and dragged the swaddle over her face. And yes, I get that muslin cloths are very porous and technically babies can breathe through it. However, I was a mum that was very paranoid about SIDS or sudden infant death syndrome, and that completely stressed me out. Eventually, I discovered the Love to Dream Swaddle sleep bag, and that's a sleep bag where the baby's completely zipped up and their arms are then secured next to their head. And because her arms were fixed in that position, her startle response was suppressed, and therefore her sleep did last a little bit longer. So the next item that I would not get is a baby nail clipper. I don't have one with me anymore. However, I did get one in a free baby first aid kit. Essentially, it was a nail clipper that was a tiny size. And the reason I didn't like that nail clipper was because it was so small that you couldn't really see what you were doing. The first time my husband tried to use it, he actually snipped off some of my daughter's skin. Having said that, I have heard of other parents who find baby nail clippers helpful, but I just thought I would share that with you. What I found much more helpful instead was just an adult size large nail clipper. And the large nail clippers are more properly known as toenail clippers. And what I think is great about a large nail clipper is that you can actually see what you're doing through the side of the nail clipper. The next baby item that I would not get is a baby bathtub. So with the baby bathtub, you got to fill it with water. And then after that, you got to lift this really heavy bathtub full of water onto a counter so that you can bathe the baby. And then once you've done bathing the baby, you got to lift this really heavy bathtub again and tip it into the sink. It didn't make sense to be carrying around this heavy bathtub of water. So we did this for a few days, and quite quickly we realized that it's easier just to bathe her in a sink. You know, literally get a plug the sink hole, fill it up with water and bathe her in there. And once we're done, we take her out and we just unplug the sink. What's the point of doing all this heavy lifting, right? And then the other thing is the bath supports. So the very first time I used it, I placed my daughter on the bath support and she arched and she almost fell into the tub. So that gave me a huge fright. And after that, I stopped using it. The other disadvantage of using a bath support is the baby's back is in contact with the bath support, which means that it's really hard to wash their back anyway. In the end, it was easiest just to bathe my daughter in a bathtub. In terms of how to hold her, we allowed her head to rest on our forearm and our hand to hold the other shoulder. Later on in this series, I will be doing a video on how to manually handle a baby, so keep an eye out for that one. The next thing I would avoid for a newborn is two-piece clothing. So I've got Panda here to help demonstrate. So Panda is wearing one of my daughter's earliest Christmas outfits, and it's actually a two-piece. So the reason I don't favor two-piece clothing for newborn babies is because you will be carrying the baby around their chest like this. Over time, what happens is their top starts to bunch up around their chest, and then the entire trunk becomes exposed. And similarly, when you're carrying them, the back of the top will gradually ride up anyway, and then all their back is exposed. And because newborns are quite floppy, it's not that easy to get your hand in there to try and pull the top down. And it becomes really annoying when you have to adjust it every 10 minutes. So for newborns, I think it is so much more convenient to keep the baby in a one-piece suit. This is a Bonds one-piece suit, and it is one of my favorite baby products. The reason being is that it's got a two-way zip. So there's a zip that zips downwards and there's a zip that zips upwards as well. And that makes it really convenient for nappy changes. The other thing that I think is really good about the Bonds wondersuit is that it has fold-over socks and fold-over mitts in their suits for the younger babies. The other thing that's really good about the wondersuit is that it stays in one piece, so when you launder it, it goes into the washing machine in one piece and it comes out in one piece. However, if you had a two-piece suit, you'd have to go and look for the top and the matching bottom. From a practical point of view, I kept my daughter in a wondersuit until we were ready to start toilet training her. And the reason being, when they're about to start toilet training, they need to practice pulling their pants down and pulling it back up. The next thing is regular standard bibs. I talk about this a lot on my channel. The reason being I bought a whole ton of them and I didn't use them. Standard bibs tend to rest on the baby's chest, which means that all the food and the drool and milk only gets caught once it reaches the baby's chest. And babies have a lot of creases in their neck, and their food and their saliva just gets trapped in there and it gets really dirty. I favor bandana bibs, and this is because the bib tends to rest against the baby's chin and it'll catch a lot of stuff before it gets into the creases of the neck. The next item that I would not buy again is sippy cups with straws. I actually owned a number of them. Obviously, they bugged me so much that I've thrown them out, so I haven't got any to show you. I'll put a picture on screen. The reason I don't like sippy cups with straws is because there's extra work to go and clean the straws with a straw cleaner. And if they don't dry that well, they tend to get moldy. So what I would recommend instead is a sippy cup that doesn't have straws and it pulls apart really easily, like this one. This one here is very popular, lots of people do use them. It's from Munchkin. So you just untwist the cap like so, and you also pull off this silicone valve. And it comes in these 3 parts, and it's really easy to get them cleaned in the dishwasher. They also dry really well as well. The next item that I probably would not buy again is this Stocky high chair. This high chair is highly recommended, and I can totally see why. It is a very sturdy chair, so it means that the risk of it toppling over with the child in it is very low. It is also adjustable according to the size of the child, which means that as the child grows, you can gradually change its configuration up to the size of an adult, which also means that it can bear a lot of weight. So this chair is not that cheap. With this chair, there are a couple of consolations for me. The first one being that I bought it on sale. The second one being I'm 5'1" and I'm technically the size of a teenager. So eventually, once my daughter no longer needs it, I intend to use it myself. If you don't have the same intentions as me though, I would hesitate to buy this because my daughter hardly sits in her high chair. She just never liked to sit in it. We do have a child-size chair and table, and she often preferred to sit in that instead. The other disadvantage of this chair is that it's quite heavy. And as you can probably imagine, when a child starts on solids, they can get quite messy with their food. So having to lift this chair on a regular basis to try and clean around it, I'm not such a big fan of that. And following on from that, the chair also has a number of joints, which means if food gets stuck in them, it's not that easy to clean. If I was to choose a high chair all over again, I'd probably just go for the Ikea one. The next item that I wouldn't buy again is super colorful children's floor mats. I have talked about it in some of my earlier videos. The thing is, initially my daughter's playpen was covered in really colorful floor mats. And then I later learned that floor mats can be very distracting when a child is trying to play with toys. And that's because you often have a relatively colorful toy against a very colorful background. And it can be quite difficult for the child to focus on the toy that they're playing with. And I experienced it personally myself when I was in her playpen and I was trying to tidy. I found it quite difficult to actually see her toys to get them put away. So at about 17 months, I changed her over to plain floor mats. The next thing is battery operated toys. And I'm not saying that I would not buy any at all. However, I would choose to buy fewer. If you watch my other videos, you know that I like the Montessori principles, but I only discovered Montessori later on when she was about 15 to 17 months old. And Montessori promotes the use of passive or open-ended toys. And battery-operated toys are not in line with the Montessori principles. With battery-operated toys, often the child would just have to push a button and the toy would sing or dance. And with toys like that, the child can quite quickly get bored of it and they would stop playing with it. However, open-ended toys are toys that are passive, they don't do anything, and it's up to the child to use their imagination to play with the toy. Passive toys require more participation from the child, and it then makes it more immersive as well. And the other advantage of not buying lots of battery-operated toys is that you don't have to spend a lot of money on batteries. The next thing I would not buy again is mold-prone toys. One example is this alligator over here. So water gets into this toy and it doesn't ventilate very well. I actually saved this toy specifically for this video, and as soon as I finish filming this video, I'm going to throw it out. I'm not sure if you can see, but there's some mold in the joints of this alligator. And in store, they commonly sell rubber duckies and rubber frogs. Those are very mold prone as well. I did have those and I've thrown them all out. The market is full of other bath toys that are more open and they ventilate really well. So I would highly recommend that you go with something that dries easily, like this one over here. On the market, there's also other things like teapots, teacups, and there are also open toy boats as well. So the next thing I would avoid buying is opaque containers. So this one I've taken out of the freezer, and obviously you can't tell what's in it. It's blended beetroot, but I only know because I opened it to have a look. And I don't like opaque containers specifically for that reason. You got to open it up before you can tell what's in there. So my preference is always for see-through containers because they save me so much time. The next thing I would not buy again is a backpack harness. Now this penguin is really cute and he works as a harness. So my daughter would wear him on her back like a backpack. And this harness comes with a strap that attaches down here so that you can hold on to the backpack and always be strapped to your child. Now I don't use it as that kind of harness anymore. I actually detached the strap a long time ago and I don't even know where it is anymore. My daughter still uses this as a backpack just for fun. There is a compartment back here and you can store 1 or 2 really small items, maybe something like a dummy, and that's about it. So she still uses this as a soft toy. But if you're looking for a harness to hold on to your child, this is not one that I would recommend. Imagine if the child is in front of the backpack. So if you have a strap attached down here and your child suddenly runs away, it will create tension on the bottom of the backpack and it will then pull your child's tail end and subsequently cause them to fall flat on their face. So that actually happened to my daughter. Fortunately, she didn't fall too hard, but yeah, I never used it as a harness again. Now, moving on to mummy items. So the first thing that I've got that I would not buy again is a nursing bra. I'm surprised I still have this. So nursing bras have drop-down clips which allow you to unclip the bra pad and pull it down for convenient nursing. The reason I would avoid this is because there is a more comfortable option. So I strongly preference the Kmart nursing camisole. And it's a padded camisole, which means that you don't have any bras digging into your underbust. And if you're pregnant, you're probably aware that skin of pregnant women can be very sensitive. The nursing camisole is a full top. If you're at home, you can wear the camisole on its own. You don't have to wear another top over it. So with the camisole, you don't have to lift the top to unbuckle a bra to breastfeed the baby. And similarly, with the camisole, once you're done breastfeeding, all you need to do is to buckle the top back up. You don't have to buckle a bra and then go put on a top again. The next thing I would not get again is this breastfeeding pillow. So how this pillow works is you would wrap this around yourself and then clip it. You would wear this in a seated position and you would be able to rest your baby on the pillow and breastfeed the baby at the same time. Conceptually, I think it's a really brilliant idea. That's why I bought it. However, when I was breastfeeding my daughter, the issue was I was already carrying her in one arm. In order to put this pillow on, I needed two hands, which means I had to put her down in order to get this pillow on. And similarly, once I was done breastfeeding her, I had to put her down to take the pillow off. And because it was so cumbersome, after I used it the first time, I never used it again. I think it was so much easier just to grab a regular pillow and rest it on your lap, because you can do that just with one hand. The next thing I would not buy again is a manual breast pump. And that's for a number of reasons. It doesn't provide a lot of suction, and it's really hard to actually get the milk expressed from the breast. Number two, you have to manually squeeze a trigger in order to get the breast milk out. And after about 5 minutes, my hand got really tired. And in order to get enough breast milk, you probably would have had to continue for at least 15 to 20 minutes. The other thing is you can only pump one side at a time. So as a mum who didn't have particularly high breast milk supply, the manual pump was really inefficient. So that's really something I would not buy again. What I found much more useful is the Spectra S2 hospital grade double electric breast pump. If you want to know more about that pump, please go ahead and watch this video, and I'll leave a link up here for you to click on. The next thing I would not buy again is this nursing chair. So this is a nursing rocking chair. When you sit back into it, it rocks back quite a lot. And when you're fully reclined in this chair and your baby's here, you actually have to flex your neck a lot in order to look at your baby. And I found that my neck got a bit sore from doing that. So for that reason, I really wouldn't buy a chair like this again for myself. I found it so much more comfortable to sit on my couch or a supportive chair with a pillow behind my back. The next thing I would not buy again is a lumbar support belt. I bought this belt to wear when I was pregnant. I'm a side sleeper. So when I was pregnant, I really felt my belly pulling against my back when I was lying sideways. So I thought I would use this belt to try and support the weight of my belly a little bit. Instead of helping things, it actually made the pregnant belly pull harder against my lower back, and I woke up with a sore back. What I found more useful was just a towel. So I would fold it up and I would place it under my belly. And man, that was so much more supportive and so much simpler. So those are all the things that I would hesitate buying again. I've spoken about a number of these things in my other videos, and I'll leave any of my related videos in the description box below. My next video is going to be a review on my baby carriers, and I have two to talk about. They're going to be the Ergo baby carrier and also the Baby Beyond one. So to make sure you don't miss that video, please subscribe and turn on notifications. If you liked today's video, please don't forget to like and share. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!